Enchanté.
Hey team, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shwangi and I'm so glad you're here. Hope you're doing well and staying healthy. To start things off where I left, I had an amazing birthday. I went skiing and I successfully skied. This was my second time skiing. My first time wasn't that great, but my experience was awesome. And me and my friends had a lot of wine the day before, so which is why I have this little breakout over here, but that's okay. In today's video, I will walk you through my so far journey to Canada. I will talk about my entire process of moving from Mumbai to Toronto. In my first video, I talked about why I moved to Toronto. If you haven't seen it yet, you can click the link over here to check it out. I already talked about the fact that I moved to Toronto for a lifestyle change. And in today's video, I will talk to you about how it's been so far. Was it worth it? I would say definitely yes for me. But again, we are all different people with different experiences. And I am only talking about my personal experience. Just a disclaimer that moving to a new country is a very big and hard decision that must be thought through. There are many factors like living with strangers, paying all of your bills, finding new friends, running an entire house. You will certainly not find friends like your friends back home. And I know a lot of people come here and still move back to their home because it's too uncomfortable, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I didn't actually move until I was absolutely sure that this was something that I wanted. So to start the video, I will break down the video in 3 parts. First will be the process of moving out from your hometown. The second would be planning your trip to Toronto. And lastly, what you need to kickstart things when you are a newbie in Toronto. There are obviously tons and tons of video on moving to Canada. Like everything is broken down, like how to get a part-time job, how to find accommodation, or what's the process like. I wanted to give a complete overview of my journey so far and what has worked best for me to settle here. So grab a cup of coffee or snack if you're interested in knowing about my journey to Canada. The process of moving out. If you want to move to Toronto or Canada, there are 2 ways you can. One is you can apply for a PR, which is a permanent residency directly from your hometown. If you have enough points to be eligible for an invite, these points are a combination of your educational background, your personal background, and your work experience. For example, if you are a single 26-year-old with MBA and 2 years of work experience, your points are likely to be higher than someone who's a 30-year-old married with MBA without any experience. So depending on your points, you can check if you have enough points to directly apply for a PR. You can check your score for free, and I will leave a link below where you can check your score and see if you have enough points to directly apply for a PR. Checking your score is free, but the application does come with a cost that you will have to pay if you decide to go ahead with the process. The second option is you come as a student, and that is what I did. I hold a bachelor's in banking and insurance from Mumbai University, so my educational experience is only 12 plus 3, and I talked about my career as well in my first video that you can check out over here. I did not have enough points to directly apply for a PR, and also because my educational background comes from finance but my passion lies in digital media, I did want to pursue my studies further, which is why I also came here as a student. So I went for a very typical route, that is going to an institute which is tied up with Canadian colleges here in Toronto or Canada to help me out with the process of studying in Canada for free. These institutes have tie-ups with many colleges in Canada, and they get a commission from the colleges instead of us. So we are not paying any fees to these institutes, rather paying high international fees to the colleges. I completed my process from Advice in Mumbai, more specifically the Malad branch, with the help of a great counselor. With her years of experience, I was able to navigate the many challenges in my process. Application process includes giving IELTS, which is an English proficiency test that is a mandate for anyone who's coming in Canada, whether as a PR or a student. So the first step of moving to Canada is giving your IELTS. Once you've given your exam, you start researching about the colleges and programs that you want to enroll in. This step is very important because you're paying such high fees. You want to make the most of your educational experience. I knew I wanted to study digital advertising, but I couldn't have drastically shifted my educational background from finance to digital advertising. Despite my work of experience in this industry, I had to give a rationale as to why I am choosing this path. I sat down with my counselor and we concluded that the best way for me to go about learning digital advertising was to do a 1-year program in marketing management, which would be a broader program, and then do a 2nd-year program in social media marketing, which was ultimately my goal. Now, even when you're coming as a student, you can opt for a 1-year or 2-year program. With 1 year of education, you get 1 year of work visa after your study visa, and with 2 years of education, you get 2 to 3 years of work work visa. I opted for 2 years and I am currently on my 3-year work visa. I know a lot of people move to Canada just for the sake of PR, so you really need to decide what you are moving for. If you are moving just for the sake, colleges and programs don't really matter. If you're actually moving to study, I would suggest first make a list of programs that you are actually interested in, then checking which all colleges offer the program, further filtering the colleges based on the criteria that you may have. Obviously, when you go to these institutes in India or anywhere else, there are only a few colleges that have tie-ups with these institutes. Two of them are Humber, Sheridan, Seneca, Centennial, Fanshawe. So your counselor will obviously be pushing you to enroll in these colleges. Remember that it's not just you, it's a lot of students who are given these limited options. So please do your research and get involved in what you really want to do. You can also connect with college alumni online and ask them about how their experience was for a particular college or school or program. You can also connect with professors on LinkedIn to get a deeper understanding of what your program has to offer. These are some of the colleges, but there are also universities that you can look into. Universities are always recommended compared to colleges, but they are also expensive. However, the crowd is much diverse because not a lot of international students are going into these universities, but rather than going into these commercial colleges. If you are choosing a commercial college, don't have high expectations from these colleges and their programs. This is such a disappointment when your criteria is to study in a diverse environment. So definitely spend some time choosing your program and college. When I decided my first program to be marketing management, I researched about colleges and came across Humber, which seemed to be the closest to Toronto at the time, but definitely didn't realize how commercial it was until I actually got here. When selecting a college, there are only a few colleges that are actually in Toronto. So if your criteria is to move to the city of Toronto, you have to choose a college that is actually located in Toronto. This can be a bit challenging because when you are in a different country and planning to move in a different country, it's hard to understand what the city actually constitutes of. So again, research everything you need to know. I come from a big city like Mumbai and I am a city girl, so it's very important for me to live as close as possible to Toronto. But obviously living in Toronto comes with a big price, like really big. Living in Toronto is very expensive if you haven't heard already. So a few such criteria depend from person to person and can be controlled depending on your lifestyle. Anyway, once you decided your college and program, you have to start collecting your documents like your mark sheets, your completion documents, and any other educational document that you may require for the process. Once you submitted your application to the college, you wait to hear for acceptance. Once you're accepted, you pay the fees as well as GIC. GIC is apparently only for Indians. GIC is a guaranteed insurance certificate which is not mandatory but recommended to show some financial support. It's like a huge deposit you pay in the beginning and then it pays back every month from the money that you've invested. A lot of people also take loans, but thanks to God, my parents gave up their savings and paid my fees as well as GIC. A loan is a very big financial burden, so if you are opting for a loan, please be sure that you have thought through and are absolutely sure about moving. Start the application of your study visa, which is a very important part. In this step, you are required to gather additional document that may be required and create a SOP document, which is your statement of purpose. SOP is a very important document because this is what decides that you can or cannot come to Canada. So make sure you're making this with absolute accuracy. If your goal is never to go back to your hometown, you have to state that your sole purpose is to study and come back. Never say that you're going to study and settle in Canada. After writing your SOP, you create an account with CIC to start your study visa application process. You do have to get a medical and biometric done for this step as well. After going through all the process, you patiently wait to hear back about your visa approval and bam, you're done. Now that you have a study visa for Canada, you are all ready to pack and leave. Now for the second step, it is planning your trip to Toronto. Once everything is finalized, I would highly recommend connecting with people who are from the same college or same program or even from the same institute. There are many questions and challenges that you will all come across, so it's always a good lesson to learn from one another. Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups are the best place to start with. I immediately connected with my college's page on Facebook and then connected with people further. The biggest thing you need to figure out after your process is completed is your stay. You need to figure out where you will stay when you land in Canada. You can start your house hunt from your hometown or after you land in Canada. It's definitely hard to choose your home when you are living in another country. So for me, I wasn't very comfortable living with total strangers. For sure, I wanted to live with girls who are from the same city so we can share a similar vibe and bond on at least growing up in the same city. I connected with 2 girls via the college group and met with them in Mumbai itself to get a deeper understanding of what we all wanted. Luckily, we instantly clicked and put forth our criteria of living together. We did a house hunt for a very long time from Mumbai, but finally concluded that it would be easier for us to finalize on a house when we were actually here. We were very scared of getting scammed, so we booked an Airbnb for 15 days for finalizing our house for the year. Once you figured out your temporary or permanent residence, it's time to pack. The most exciting part for many of us is planning the trip. We have our documentation done, but what should we actually carry when we're moving countries? To begin with, definitely start with some Canadian dollars or a Forex card. If you have a GIC, you will need to go to a bank and open your account to get that lump sum money. Even if you don't, you still have to go to a bank and open your account. This can take 2 to 3 days after you have landed and figured out your situation, but highly suggest carrying some Canadian dollars. I would say $200 to $250 in cash and $500 in a Forex. Once you have figured that out, you can leave your SIM card at home with someone reliable for any OTPs that you may get. You can even carry your SIM card with you, but you don't get all OTPs when you're here, so you can take a call on that. Next, you would need all your original documents. I suggest you make a few extra copies of all your documents and leave a set back home and carry a few extra copies and originals with you over here. Making copies here is a really big pain in the ass if you don't have a printer. You will need to go to your college or Staples or to a local internet cafe to get copies. It's better you carry some extra copies with you. Now for clothing and all the material things, this can be hard because you've built your wardrobe and have collected things over years in your hometown. And how can you leave so much behind and take everything in just 2 luggage bags? It sounds unfair, but unfortunately is the reality. You will be tempted to take everything with you, but trust me, you only need the things that you can't buy otherwise. You only need basics, and over time you will be able to rebuild everything you want. I was stupid enough to overpack and ended up paying extra $500, so I would highly suggest that you pack wisely, reduce the hassle of carrying an extra luggage, and rather spend that money over here. For packing, you only need your most basic clothing and a few kitchen related stuff that you're absolutely sure will be highly overpriced here in Canada. There's absolutely everything that you can get in Canada, even if it's Indian stuff like pressure cooker, masalas, even God stuff, but obviously at an international price. So make a list of things you absolutely cannot live without and carry only those things, like your original documents, your favorite food, and your most memorable gifts. And lastly, a Kickstarter for newbie in Toronto. Once you've landed in Toronto, you obviously need an address to go to, money to pay the cab, and a cab. I was almost scammed by a taxi driver who approached me at the airport and told me the taxi was in the parking lot. I was stupid enough to actually go in the lift with him, but a officer caught us talking and he obviously knew something fishy was going on. Actually pulled me out of the lift and asked me to take a cab right outside the airport. So I went out and got myself a local taxi, paid him in cash, and made my way to the Airbnb that we booked. And yay, you finally landed in Toronto. So welcome to Toronto and let the grind begin. First things first, you need to figure out a grocery that is close to you and stock up on some staple foods. I carried a bag full of ready to eat food which was stuck in transit. Ready to eat meals are literally a savior, especially in such hassled times. Get ready to live off some instant noodles and ready to eat meals you don't settle in. You can either carry these with you or hit a grocery store. 2 known grocery stores are No Frills, Freshco, Raba, Metro, Loblaws, Longo's, of which No Frills and Freshco is kind of reasonable. Raba is somewhere in between, and Metro, Longo's, and Loblaws are kind of the premium grocery stores. There are also local convenience stores that you can go to, but obviously they are slightly expensive than No Frills and Walmart, as obviously they are not a large scale business, only accept debit or cash, no credit. Once you have sorted your groceries, it's time to get a new SIM card, open your bank account, get your SIN, find your permanent house, and get a part-time job. To get your SIM card, open a bank account, and to initiate a SIM, you will need an address. This can be your permanent address or your temporary address that can be updated later on, but you do need to provide an address. Just keep a note of that. SIM card. Canada is the most expensive country in the world to get internet, so get ready to pay a bomb and get some little internet. I am currently using a Freedom SIM card, and there are many service providers like Bell, Rogers, Telus, Fido version. I would suggest going to a mall close by and getting quotes from all of these vendors to get the best price offer. There are many deals that you can get, so please be mindful that you don't get carried away. There are a lot of packages that are a combination of phone plus SIM card. You can only get those deals if you have a credit card. A lot of students come here and ask their friends to give their credit cards for their phone, but I would not recommend this. You can wait out a few months, build a good credit history, and then get the phone later. Primary focus should be to get the cheapest and the best available internet plan for your phone. And congratulations, you have a SIM card now. Open a bank account. Now, to open a bank account, you will obviously need to visit the bank in person with all your documents. The best way to go about this is to book an appointment or even walk into the closest branch that you have. There are only a few banks in Canada, primarily Scotia Bank, TD Bank, RBC, CIBC. You can take a call here as to where you want to open an account. After your documentation, you will be given a debit card instantly where you can deposit the cash that you carried. The credit card will be delivered to you in about 7 to 15 working days at the address that you mentioned. You can start using your debit card with the money that you've deposited. It's highly recommended to use your credit card for most of your transactions because this is where you're actually building your credit history. Your credit score helps you in many ways, but I won't get into that in this video. Now, to commute in the city, to publicly travel in Toronto, you need a TTC card. TTC is Toronto's Transit Commission that encompasses subways, buses and streetcars. There are two lines for the subways. One is the green line and one is the yellow line. Green line runs from east to west and the yellow line runs from north to south. You can just go to any subway station or a GO station and get a card for yourself. It's pretty easy and costs only $6, and you can reload it as many times as you want. Per ride in Toronto costs $3.25 and is valid for unlimited transfers for up to 2 hours. You can also use Uber and Lyft, but again, it is very expensive to take cabs. Another thing you need is a SIN. A SIN is a social insurance number that is created for everyone who works in Canada. This is a unique identification number that is linked to all your financial aspects and taxes. This number is strictly to be given only and only to your employer. Through this number, the government can keep track of how much you're earning versus how much taxes you are paying. As an international student, you are allowed to work for up to 20 hours a week. So make sure you're not exceeding your hours. A lot of people do, and a lot of people also work on cash, but that is not recommended at all. Like, please don't do it. If you are caught, the consequences are high penalties or even deportation from the country. So I would definitely refrain from violating any kind of law. To obtain a SIN, you will need to go to a Service Canada office, and the process is pretty simple. You instantly get your SIN number that you can use when applying for part-time jobs. I did a part-time job at Gap. Did not want to push too much financial burden on my parents. I have always been very independent right after my graduation and have not taken any money from my parents after my graduation, except for the time when I actually came to Toronto, which I'm truly grateful for. Once you have a SIN, you are getting closer to settling in Canada. Finding a permanent house. If you haven't already found a house and, like me, are living in an Airbnb or any temporary accommodation, this can be the most challenging and stressful thing to do. First things you need to decide are on your budget, the people you're going to live with, and any other deal breakers that you may have. The three of us who were living in the Airbnb had great coordination in terms of our budget cap and were flexible with our conditions as well. We were looking for a 3-bedroom as all three of us wanted to have our own separate rooms. And since this was pre-pandemic and we actually did go to college, our location was determined to be as close as possible to the college. As a student, I was on a low budget and was flexible to living in a smaller room if need be, and that's what happened. Managed to find a 3-bedroom townhouse on the main floor, one of which was the master room, one of which was the queen room, and one of which was the baby room. I chose to live in the baby room, and we split the rent according to the sizes of the room. For housing in Canada, there are 3 types of houses. One is a townhouse, another is an apartment, and lastly we have condos, which are mostly in downtown. We found our place through Kijiji, which is the most commonly used app to find houses here in Canada. The listings for the most part are directly listed by the homeowners. You can also check out Facebook Marketplace, that in my opinion is the best place to browse for housing and to buy secondhand stuff like anything but mostly furniture. You may find a house which is furnished or unfurnished, so definitely keep a watch out for moving sales. A lot of times you'll also find free stuff in these moving sales. I buy a lot of things from Marketplace and absolutely love it. It's cheaper and a very sustainable way too, which is amazing. Also check out Dollarama, which is a dollar store where you get all your household stuff for cheap. The entire footage after that video got corrupted and hence I have to reshoot. So I am reshooting now. Living in downtown as a student can be really expensive. So determine a budget and look for places within your range. I would highly suggest that you finalize a house that is close to a subway or a bus or a streetcar. I personally prefer to stay as close as possible to a subway and avoid streetcars and buses as much as possible because they can really be unreliable. But obviously this also depends on your budget. So if your budget doesn't allow you to be close to a subway station, then definitely be closer to a bus stop which takes you directly to a subway station, and also a bus that has a good frequency. Begin with ideally look for places that are totally furnished. If not, find your furniture on Marketplace, Kijiji and request for a delivery. You mentioned that you are a student and don't have the resources to actually get the stuff picked up. A lot of people are considerate and if possible will actually get the things delivered to you. If not, keep looking and you will find someone who can actually get things delivered to you. And lastly, part-time job. This is applicable to anyone who is wanting to work part-time alongside with their studies. You can look for jobs online as well as apply in person. The most effective way that I have seen is dropping off your CVs in person. You can apply for jobs at local stores in your neighborhood or at the mall, in the banks, at restaurants. You are not restricted to working in the same field as the field you are studying in. If you choose to work on campus, you are allowed to work 20 hours on campus and 20 hours off campus. But when you are a full-time student, that isn't really possible. You want to look for something which is more relaxed and less stressful, as you want to focus on your studies and not your part-time. Depending on the job you are applying for, you will need to refine your CV. Obviously, you cannot show overqualification for a job that you're applying in, so you will need to tone down your CV accordingly. I worked at Gap in a mall and I would highly suggest getting a retail job. It's less stressful, quicker to learn, and you get great employee discounts. Definitely head to a mall to drop your CVs at multiple stores. If you are comfortable with working in hospitality, you can also drop off your CVs at restaurants, but be sure to add some relevant experiences. And that's it. You are officially into the Canadian grind. The entire process can get really overwhelming and stressful, but don't worry, you got this. You are smart and you will make your way through if this is something that you truly want. You might also want to consider the temperatures here in Canada. In Canada, we experience some of the most extreme temperatures. It is really cold in the winters, like really cold, and it is super hot in the summers, but you get to experience all kinds of weathers and you actually get to see the weather changes as well, which in my experience is the most beautiful thing that I have experienced. If you are looking to move to Canada and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below and I will do my absolute best to help you. And this is all that I had to talk about my Canadian experience. Now let's quickly get into our monthly check-ins. Last month's goal, which was to start saving, I did manage to invest some money in crypto because the market was really down. Not as much as I wanted, but I definitely did try to save as much as I could. My biggest challenge was obviously living in Toronto, but also the fact that it was my birthday month. I ended up skiing, which is quite expensive, but I think that I totally deserved that one day off. So I partially completed my goal, but kudos to anyone who completed their monthly goals for last month. For next month's goal, my goal is to pick up on a new habit. It can be anything from sleeping at the same time to waking up at the same time or going on a 20-minute walk. Let me know in the comments below what goals you are working on and what challenges you are facing while completing your goals, so we can have each other's support in this self-development journey. I hope you found this video helpful. There's also a giveaway for anyone who is wanting to move to Canada in my first video that you can check out here. Go comment there to stand a chance to win a free Home is Toronto outfit. If there are any questions, please comment below and I will do my best to help you out with my experiences. I know it's super hard, but hence I am here if you need me. If you're watching this video till now, thank you so much for watching. Until the next video, hit the bell icon to subscribe to my channel and for our monthly check-ins. You can also turn on the notification to not miss any of my next videos, and if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Be safe, take care of yourself and your loved ones. I really hope to see you in my next video. Lots of love. Bye.